Mike, let's talk about, your team's ability to shoot the three-point shot lately. I mean, this is not a team that usually relies on the three, but you guys have been very, very good at three now for the last, 3-4 games.
Yeah, I think we're starting to find a little rhythm. Kids are getting their feet set, getting some confidence. I think, too, it's just that time of the year where roles are pretty clear and established and the buy-in's there. And so kids that have been told, hey, when you're open and your feet are set, you got to shoot the ball with confidence, and that's what they're starting to do. I think, too, it's also a byproduct of the system. You know, we're not an isolation-type team where, you know, we just stick somebody on the block or stick somebody on the wing, and we're a move the ball and share the ball type offense. And when you do that, I think you get the defense scrambling and it creates open looks. And so a combination of being ready to shoot it and the open look, I think, has led to a higher percentage.
Let's talk about that Omaha game. Ellie Thompson really got off for you early, 7 of the first 9 points, and she really was good inside and also at the free throw line early in that game.
Yeah, it was good to see Ellie get going, and our perimeter players did a nice job of finding her, and then she did a good job of sealing, especially deep, and that allowed her to quickly turn, and you know, she's not a big post player, so she's got to has learned to score around defenders, and that's what she was able to do. And if she wasn't able to finish, she was able to get offensive putbacks and get to the free throw line, and she's been really efficient at the free throw line throughout the year, and we're going to need her to continue to do that. And Ellie's capable of having big games, and as the season moves forward, you know, we talked about our success on the 3-point line, but there's nobody who wants to live and die by the 3-point shot. Yeah. And so the more efficient we can get in and around the basket with not just Ellie, but maybe that's Maya Sellen, maybe that's Tegan Larson, Megan Boltzma, some of those kids. And then we obviously post up other players too. Macy posts some, and Tylee Irwin posts some. So if we can get more efficient and a little stronger around the low post area, I think that'll benefit us offensively as well.
And then it was Omaha's turn to get some open looks from three. They come back and nail 5 of them, and all of a sudden they've got a halftime lead.
Yeah, and they're very capable of that. We had some breakdowns defensively and didn't get kids when we needed to, and yet, you know, that's the nature of league play, is that there's some familiarity there, but that doesn't mean that you're always going to be able to take away everything that a team does. And to their credit, you know, they made a run there in the second quarter, got the lead, and then we had a big response in the third quarter.
Yeah, 30 points in the third. Maddie had 4 threes. Riley Jensen had 3 threes, 7 threes in all, and you really kind of put the game away at that point.
Yeah, and again, it's good to see multiple people knocking down shots and our ability to share the ball. Excuse me, it really starts on the defensive end, though, and you know, where we lost kids in that second quarter, we were able to get up pressure and take them out of their sets, and that led to some easy baskets in transition, but also, you know, a pace of play that we're comfortable with. And in the half court then, when we move the ball, we get those open looks.
And the one nice thing has got to be that on a night where Macy doesn't score a lot of points, she only scores 6, you get a big production night from your bench and score 31.
Yeah, and our bench is very capable of that. You know, there's a lot of talent there, and some young talent, some newbies, you know, in terms of transfers and things. But they're all getting more and more comfortable and more confident, and I think that's going to be real key as we move forward. Is Macy, Maddie are going to get theirs. They're just that diverse in their attack. You know, both can put the ball on the floor, both can shoot it, both are phenomenal at the free throw line, but at the same time, then we've got 8, 9, 10 other players that are very capable of having big games, and from game to game it might vary, but you know, we need people to step up and play confidently.
And then Saturday against North Dakota State, you see a 20-point win, but then you realize when you go back and look at it, I mean, North Dakota State played very, very well in that first half. 9 different players scored, and they're trying to really spread the scoring around more this year rather than just Taylor Thunstead. And they shot 64% against you in the first half, and they really played a heck of a game the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, 64% in the first half, and they cooled down because at one point they were 12 of 16, you know, and they're a better team than they were a year ago. They've got more size, more length, obviously more offensive weapons. I think you hit the nail on the head with their diverse attack, and that Thunstead isn't the only person who can put the ball in the basket, and they knock down shots. Now, we defended pretty well for 24, 25 seconds of every possession, and then we'd get beat on a back cut, or we'd lose a player, and then they'd skip it and have a shot. So our defense was solid for the most part, and then late in the shot clock, we would have breakdowns, and that led to either wide open shots or easy looks for them, and they were able to convert them and kept the game very close early. And then again, we had a big second half that led to some separation.
11-0 run to start the third. You mentioned one of those newbies, Mike, and Tylee Irvin had 8 points in that second half to spark you.
Yeah, Tylee's had a good year for us, and a real long, lanky wing that can shoot it and can also put the ball on the floor. Had some games early where she was really effective, and then strained a hamstring, and that really set her back a little bit. When you're young, you need all the reps you can get, and missing some practice time and missing some games, really delayed her development, and it also shows a little vulnerability and confidence, because now you got to get back into it, and there's probably some self-doubt. Well, can I play at the level I was playing at? And she certainly did on Saturday, and knocked down some shots, got out and ran the floor, and she's, like I said, very capable of doing it, and someone that we'll expect to see that type of productivity, throughout the rest of the year.
And you had to love what you saw on the boards. Your club gets 13 offensive rebounds. Ellie and Taggin each had 3, and then you give up no second chance points to North Dakota State.
Yeah, one of the things, if you look, we're shooting the ball a little better, but we're not haven't been to this point a great, offensive field goal percentage team, and so getting those second, third chance opportunities is really important to our offensive success. And so we send forward the glass, and Ellie and Taggin had nice games there. And then, defensive rebound has been stressed. We have a tendency to stand flat-footed, and so over the last 2 weeks, we've stressed not only putting a body on somebody, but being ready and anticipating a rebound and going and getting it. And then probably some of that is a little bit of NDSU's philosophy. I don't think that they send forward the offensive glass, so they're checking 2 back more than not, and so you're blocking 3 out, and again, I don't want to downplay, because I think that's a big part of our team's success is controlling the glass.
Let's talk about on the road this week. Let's start with Denver. This is a team that can win in a few different ways. They beat Fort Wayne by 18 and only shot 39%. But one of the things is they get to the free throw line.
Yeah, they're really aggressive. One of the more aggressive off-the-dribble teams will play, and they're physical. They don't try and dribble around you. They'll dribble through you, play really fast, take a lot of quick shots, and so that probably leads to a lower field goal percentage, but it also creates more opportunities for them. And so we got to be able to guard the ball, slow them down some, do both of those without fouling, and then we've got to be able to, on the converse side of that, is attack them on offense and put them on their heels a little bit.
We talked about rebounding. Jordan Alt, number 1 rebounder. This is a club that gets about 40 a game, and they're really strong on the offensive glass as well.
Yeah, and a lot of those players have been there 2-3 years.
Yeah.
They've got some young kids that have stepped in and knocked down some shots for them. But overall, Jordan Alt's been there, played very, very much similarly to the previous staff. Mm-hmm. Inside-outside kid, uses her body well around the basket, but can step out and shoot it very confidently from 17 feet. And so they're experienced, and they're probably playing with a little more confidence than they have in past years, and playing at home and in that altitude. And so it'll be a challenge. We'll have to come ready to meet that pace and then guard them without putting them at the free throw line because of their aggressiveness.
And defensively, Mike, because they don't have a real prolific scorer, you gotta really be honest on everybody, because they really get balanced scoring from this attack.
Yeah, and it happens to be my scout, and so on almost every player, it's like, hey, play straight up, meaning that they can put the ball on the floor and they can shoot it, at least on those perimeter kids. And so you're right, and that they've got a variety of kids that can put the ball on the floor and get to the rim, but they've also got kids that can knock down shots, and and they don't rely on just one kid. It's not like their offense funnels through one particular player. So in some regards, that can make your defense easier because you don't just focus on one thing. Well, I can let my guard down because I don't have to worry about this kid doing that. You got to be alert and engaged at all times, and by doing that, I think you can stay more focused throughout an entire possession or quarter or game.
And then the road trip goes to Tulsa on Saturday, and you'll go up against what has been the top defense so far in the conference in Oral Roberts. And Faith Iham is a player you know a lot about, and she really is the key for them defensively.
Yeah, really long, quick, athletic forward that can be disruptive on defense and offense. You know, she can get out in the passing lanes and make life difficult for you. She can get a defensive rebound and lead a break. And then on offense, you know, she's got about as quick of a first step as anybody in the league. And so you got to try and force her out, get her outside of that, 17, 18, 19 feet where she's less comfortable. And then the gaps are a little bigger, but they're easier to close because there's greater distance to get to the rim. And that's what we've tried to do in the past. It's been fairly effective. But, again, they've got a multiple-person attack, too, and got kids inside that can score, and they've got guards that can shoot it. And yet, you hit the nail on the head, their bread and butter, since Missy's been there, has been to, try and slow teams down and defend really well. And, if the game's in the 50s, it probably favors Oral Roberts. If we can get it up into the high 60s and 70s, then that's when we've been more successful.
This is the team you saw 3 times last year, including a matchup in the tournament. And Maria Martianez, she's one of the top three-point shooters, and you saw a lot of her. She had 17 threes against you in 3 games last year.
Yeah, it really shoots it, and scouting report says you got to get to her and make her put it on the floor, and we didn't do a great job of doing that last year, and so that'll be a point of emphasis this year. The nice thing about, there's no travel partners per se, in the Summit League, but when you look at going and play in Denver and how they play and the fact that they're going to spread you out on multiple three-point shooters, and Oral Roberts has similar attack. They might be a little bigger, stronger inside, but have players that can shoot it. The perimeter defense is going to need to be the same in both games this weekend.
And then this is the only road trip of the first half for you, and then, of course, with a couple of fewer league games this year with no IUPUI, you got to win some of these road games.
Yeah, if you want to win the conference, you want to be a conference champion, you got to win on the road, and life on the road is tough. There's no other way to explain it. But we've prided ourselves in the past in our preparation and understanding and focusing on the things that we can control and letting the other things go, and so that's not going to be any different as we head on the road this weekend. And we've got some seniors and juniors that have been through it, and we've got some younger kids that they'll be going through it for the first time. But we have played on the road already this year, some neutral site games, some true road games, and so there's some experience for everybody there. But we've got to stay connected on both ends of the floor. And probably the biggest challenge, because we get rather spoiled at home with the crowd and the support we get, is that we have to be our best energizers. We have to energize ourselves. We can't rely on the Frost crowd because it's not there. And if we can do that, then we give ourselves a chance to compete.